I'm definitely having an identity crisis today because so I have this thing that I'm doing in recovery now. I feel like I look like a tourist every day. But it's because I've been like leaving the house for, let me see if I can get this set up. Go a little bit back, little bit back, little bit back. Let me get in the sun. Just a little bit. Okay. Ironically, I have my phone propped up on my big book that I got today. Another one. So yeah, this sun's gonna be like blinding. Yeah. So let me see if I do it like this. Maybe that's better. Oh, we'll see. Yeah. So it's been such an eventful day. So I'm at the Sober Living House, and that the lady that runs the house was actually just here, and she's like, what is your let me do the touch up real quick. Let me touch my face up real quick. Boop, boop, perfect. So she was like, what is the motivation behind your YouTube channel? And I was like, well, it's funny that you asked because now it's recovery, but that sun is like right. It's like now it's recovery, but up until recently, it's been all over the place because I knew that I was going to find my purpose. I knew that I was going to find the direction that I was going to take the channel. I just didn't know how long it was going to take for me to find it. So ironically, the channel has went from my live streams and any of the videos that I posted have went from being like me going to rehab for 4 hours and talking shit about the rehab, reminiscing without even realizing I was like, secretly, subconsciously, like, either preparing myself or, coming to the reality that I needed to go back to rehab. But it was like, just kind of like reminiscing about, the days when I was in treatment or that I was going through the 12-step program or, AA and everything. And then a lot of it was just really in my addiction. I mean, and I thought about it today. Like I literally, I spent a lot of time on my channel, and I went through and I was just kind of like glancing over some of my old videos, and I was like, dude, I need to take these down. Like, this is terrible. And then I thought, I'm not going to. I even went back and put the hashtags on there, like recovery and stuff, even though I was full blown out my mind, because I'm not ashamed of that. And actually one of the hashtags that I found online was like not ashamed, and even just talking to the lady that runs the house, I mean, it's very faith-based, and that's something that I've been very open about and very adamant about on my channel. I mean, I am very, very, and not even spiritual. Like, I'm not spiritual. Like, I love Jesus. I don't just believe in him. He is everything to me. I've had a relationship with him for quite some time. But there's only so much of a witness you can be. There's only so much of the gospel you can spread when you're a drug addict, and especially when that's something that I was not in denial over. I mean, I was very much like, yes, I love Jesus, but yes, I love meth. And that's not bragging, and I'm not proud of that, but that was the facts of my life. So there's a lot of stuff on my channel that I was like, maybe I should take this down, or maybe I should do disclaimers. But, if you find your way to my channel, you would really do yourself, you would really do I feel like you're going to find your way to where you need to be anyway, because, if you resonate with something that I said, hello. Do you play video games? No. So do I look like someone that would play video games? I think it's a recovery check-in. I think I need to probably be more specific. I mean, it's very much like drug addiction, recovery, rehab, sober living, really navigating this journey of recovery. And really just really looking back over my past failed attempts, hello, I love the hearts, thinking about my failed attempts and like, where did I go wrong? And so something that I was thinking about today, I thought, in the past, because I do learn from my mistakes, I really do. I'm very good, at learning from my mistakes. Number one, I'm able to admit when I make them. And then I'm very much, able to learn from them. However, I just made some pink lemonade earlier and it was so good. Thank you. So quick recap, we were just talking about, drug addiction and recovery and what that looks like for me. But, I, as someone who learns from my mistakes, I am very much like, I'm not going to do this time around. Like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. But like the biggest thing for me was, what am I going to do? What am I going to do this go round that not only, okay, I can learn from my mistakes. I know what not to do beyond not doing drugs. I know the pitfalls that have caused my downfall in the past. But like, if you focus on what you're not going to do, a lot of times you inevitably end up doing that anyway. It's like what we resist persists. I say that all the time, but it's so true. And so something I'm really focused on now is like, okay, I know what not to do, but like, what am I going to do? What is my next step? And yes, it's like one day at a time, but like, can I see a life beyond, the point that I've came to, which is not very far in being in sobriety, Hey kiddo, hope things are going well for you. I love the country voice. I can't stay away from drugs. If you can't stay away from drugs, it's probably also a people issue. A lot of it, I was not around people that use drugs. It's not funny, but I wasn't. I just had a way to get drugs and, coincidentally, I don't like people. Well, I say I don't like people. In my addiction, I didn't like people, because people didn't like me because I was on drugs and you couldn't tell me anything and I knew everything. And such is the case with a lot of people that are in addiction. But as I said, I'm willing to learn from my mistakes. I'm very, very honest with myself. I needed help. And I knew that. And so, it took me getting to the point where I literally did not want to be alive anymore, and I talk about that a lot, but it's like, it's still sinking into me as someone who's always been positive, who's always been, wanted to help others, to get to a point in my life where I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to think about my life tomorrow, next year. I haven't pictured that in a long time. Now I don't want to picture it. I don't want to, and, right. You can, you gotta pay. Right. The thing is, I'm uplifted by people, I'm like, you can't put me in a category. You can't put me in a box. I was about to try. I was actually about to do what I hate when people do to me, is like try to put me in a box. But you can't, because I am extrovert, I am outgoing, people person, introverted. I keep to myself, but I thrive on, human interaction. I am, a drug addict, but I also thrive in structure and routine and discipline. I am rigorously honest with myself, but I also will, get into my addiction, and I will lie so good to myself that there's no way you couldn't believe it, because I'm like, I will make being honest to myself be the way I lie to myself, I have all those tendencies. I am very much, an anomaly. That's the only box that I could ever put myself in. I'm a complete anomaly. You could not put me in a box if you tried to. I wouldn't fit. So being around people is not, being isolated is what will bring me back to addiction every time. And not a fun addiction, because it's not, and a lot of people, and maybe that's a common misconception, is that, people that do drugs, have fun all the time, and they're just partying and they're just living life, and you're going to work and working 9 to 5 and you're miserable, but we're out here woohoo. That's not the case, especially when you isolate. And it's not fun, and so I have learned that everything is very situational, and it's not being around people, it's being around the right people, and it's not doing drugs, it's living a life that makes you, you know, not want to hurt your body, or like, you know, not live under that the control of like, I can only do, like, I can't work because, or I can only do this job because either I would fail the drug test, or I wouldn't be able to stay, you know, like I would have to leave work to go get higher, like whatever it is, you know. There's really no way around it. Like, I don't even, this is not even like the point of like the live stream, but like this, I'm literally to the point where I'm like, I just have to remind myself that like, there's no way out of this. Like, there is absolutely no such thing as a functioning drug addict. You're just it's a miserable life. It just is, you know. I'm going to end up dead. John, you can. Where are you located, John? And that was my thing, is that, you know, the drugs that I used, you know, there was, I mean, there's always, okay, don't, granted, like, I'm not saying like you can't die if you use methamphetamines, like, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it was not, well, thank you for joining. I know you're like way up there, but however you found my channel, thank you. I'm glad that you joined me. And I hope that maybe we can talk and get, you know, get on the right track. And I mean, because I'm you know, just as near death as you are, you know, I mean, I literally less than a month ago, I was on the phone with 911 wanting to blow my brains out. I don't have a lot of followers on this channel, so I can say that. It's not funny. It's not funny. It scared the hell out of me. I've never in my life, even when my best friend in the entire world, my brother-in-law, you know, even when he committed suicide, I couldn't even accept that he did that. Could not accept it, because I was like, there's no way that I could ever. But we lived the same life, and his ended tragically in that, you know, in him taking his own life. And even still, I could not understand it. I could not accept it. I'm not in the military, by the way. I just dressed like this today. But I could not accept it. And it was because I was never in a million years going to be able to believe that I would be to that point in my own life. To the point that I would literally not want to live anymore, you know, and would actually be thinking about, like, you know, it's scary to think about, but that's the point I was at. I mean, granted, if I was using, you know, I mean, and like I said, like, I mean, there, you know, there's always a way. Drugs will kill you regardless of what or how you're using. I understand that. But for me, it wasn't one of those things where like overdose, you know, death like that was not like an imminent danger to me. I just knew that I did not want to live anymore under those circumstances, in full-blown drug addiction, you know. I don't think I can stop. And again, like what I was saying, you know, it's really not a matter of like stopping something. It's like, you know, as rudimentary as it sounds, like, what are we running from? You know, what made you start in the first place? I mean, because I could say for me, it was, I was so young, I don't even know. But at the very core of it, you know, we suffer from an illness that a lot of people just will never understand, you know, and it's not cancer. So, I mean, you can't say, well, why, well, how did you get, like, why did you get lung cancer? Well, I smoked cigarettes. No, it's not like that. It's almost like something that was like fundamentally ingrained into our existence, you know, like from birth. I feel like sometimes there's just people that will never understand. There's people that could never imagine pumping toxins into their body, or getting so belligerent that they don't know where they are, or that they could die, or that, you know, I mean, there's people that work 9-to-5 jobs, that pay their bills, that have homes, that you know, take like blood pressure medicine and stuff, and like go to the dentist and have like health insurance and like 401ks and stuff. Like, they could never understand living a life that could, you know, essentially end your life, you know. Yeah, but I mean, and so it's like, does that mean that like they're better or worse than us? No, it's just, it's literally one of those things that like we suffer from an illness that you know, is not, people don't, you know, it talks about this in the big book, like, unfortunately, people don't find out that you are an alcoholic or that you're an addict and go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh, I feel so bad. Bless your heart. Like, we're going to pray for you. Like, the doctor gave, you know, like, we just got the news, you know, we just got word back that, you know, it's, the results are in, you know, I'm an addict, you know, it's different. And then also it's the fact that, you know, when you have cancer, or an illness where that is essentially, I mean, even if it's something that is, you know, technically, if a person has heart disease, they've lived a, you know, their diet and stuff has been poor, and it's led to them, you know, I mean, it's at least played a factor in it. But even then, you know, you would never say that they deserve to die of a heart attack, or you would never, but also like their diabetes would never cause them to hurt you. You know what I mean? Like, you've never heard of somebody stealing somebody's car because they found out that it's not funny. It's really not funny. But you never hear about people that like, yeah, my daughter stole my car because she suffers from type 2 diabetes, you know? Like, you know, or you're not like, you know, like, yeah, like my, you know, like my husband, you know, like burned our house down because he has congenital heart failure. You know what I mean? Like, that's not typical. But when you are a drug addict, you inevitably, no matter how good of a heart you have, and oftentimes we do have really, really big hearts. You know what I mean? We're some of the most loving people that you ever find, but we hurt people. You know, I mean, there's no way around it. You know, we hurt our kids, we hurt our parents, we hurt anybody that's unfortunate enough to get, and if we're a kind, loving person, it almost makes it that much worse, because even if we're not directly harming them or hurting them or offending them, they're watching us destroy ourselves, and that's painful to watch too. You know, and often that's not even that cut and dry. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people do that too, you know what I mean? And like a lot of people, and we live in a society where you can do that. You know, we live in a society where it's not far-fetched to think that you could, you know, live at home for years unemployed, you know, and be able to somehow manage to, you know, maintain a drug addiction, you know, and not, you know what I mean, like that's, and a lot of times, like I've even said this in one of my videos like a while back, and I'm pretty sure this was me like preaching to myself, because a lot of my videos really are just me telling myself the things that either at that moment or in the future, in hindsight, you know, I would definitely need to hear. But regardless, you know, I was saying, if you're getting away with the things that, you know, or if there's things that you used to feel guilty about, and either you don't feel guilty about them anymore, or you find yourself like not reaping any consequences for them, you should be scared. You know, like you should be very scared if you are able to maintain such a destructive lifestyle for many, many years. I mean, like, you know, a lot of people, they don't do it. You know, they end up overdosing or in jail, or, you know, or dead, like immediately, you know. But to be able to manage an addiction or any type of, you know, fatally destructive habit like that, you know, to be able to maintain that for a long period of time without really reaping any major consequences, that's a scary thing, you know. And that made me feel like maybe God's given up on, I mean, God never gives up on us, but he chastises those that he loves, you know. And the spirit of the rod spoiled the child. So when I got to a point where I was like just living my life, I'm like, this may not be because God loves me. Yeah, I mean, he loves me, but he loves me enough also to like just let me self-destruct, you know. Over 2 years. Hello, my dear friend. Hello. 10 years. I thought you said 2 years. You said 10. This pink lemonade is so good right now. So let me ask you this, John. Like, why? Like, what's stopping you from getting help? You know? Because for me, it was, like, I had a lot of really, really bad experiences with facilities, like hospitals and even recovery centers. You know, I was, and again, like, this is not me making excuses. This is definitely not me trying to deter anybody from getting help by any means. Because I do think that when you're ready, God will make a way for you, you know. But if people try to force you down a path that you're not ready to go down, it does not work out well for anybody. And I'm not going to blame my continued drug use on that, but I will say that I suffered very traumatic experiences as a result of being forced against my will by, you know, medical staff and things like that. But for me, it was just being ready. I mean, it was just that simple. Like, I mean, even when I went through recovery in the past, like in 2020, I just found like my 6 month, I'm sounding so big. Like, I just found like my 6 month chip, and I was like, what happened? You know, I was kind of wondering, like, what happened? And then I realized, like, you know, part of it was I had never even came to a point where I just said, never again will I pick up drugs. Never again will I look to a substance or any unhealthy, you know, anything like, you know, anything like that to, period, not for any reason, not to ... like, just never again would I do that. And this time was just different, you know. It wasn't me trying to get back on my feet. It wasn't me trying to appease anybody. It wasn't, and it definitely wasn't because I was trying to get out of some type of, you know, like legal issues. I was not, you know, as a result. I mean, there was no reason whatsoever for me to seek out help besides I was tired of my life being a complete waste, and fully knowing, not lying to myself, but fully knowing what my potential was. And just, you know, I believe that I am pretty good about treating myself the same way I treat other people. I do hold other people accountable to some degree, you know, as much as they would like me to. But for myself, I do hold myself accountable. So had it been anybody else that was close enough to me or that cared enough about my opinion to ask me what I thought of their life, I would say it's a shame. You have a brilliant mind. A mind is a brilliant mind is a horrible thing to waste, or however the saying goes. And I have a very brilliant mind. And I'm not bragging about that. I'm saying it was a shame that I was literally destroying it, you know. I'm a mess. Don't think there's a way for me to be clean. There is. I'm shaking my head no, because there is. Guys, like, I've seen miracles happen. And I mean, not just like I could tell you one right now. Like, I could not even tell you one in particular, because it being in recovery, you see it almost to the point that it kind of dulls it. It shouldn't dull your, you know, they are miracles. And just like, you know, like, and that's what it is. I mean, and God does it all the time, every day. You know, there are people that have died and been brought back to life 27 times. I'm like, there's nothing that I've done 27 times in life that I can keep track of. You know, you're like, I have overdosed on heroin and came back 27 times. I'm like, that's a lot. Did you like keep tally marks and whatever? That's not the point, you know? There are people that have used drugs for, you know, like every day for like 20 years. There are people that have, you know, just, it's unfathomable, you know? And it's just, wanting it is really what it comes down to. And if you don't have it, then you don't want it. Because there's no way, you know, now, and I'll say this too, there's some cliches that I hear in recovery that I don't necessarily believe in, that I don't necessarily agree with. Like, they're like, well, you would hustle to get your drugs, like you have that same hustle for recovery. Well, that wasn't my life. That wasn't my life. And I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying my life was not like, you know, hustling. That I was not in that lifestyle, you know what I mean? But actually I'm about to turn around real quick. Let me move this party to the other side so maybe the sun will be like not directly behind me. I think it's just the shade from my for my hat. For me being a shady person. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Y'all can see me. I'm about to take these 2 pills right here. Just FYI, though, they are literally like women's probiotics. They've just been sitting here like on my AA book, and I'm like, this doesn't look good. Circle K. Oh, okay. All right. So real quick, let me get to like the meat of like the live stream. Like this is what okay, hold on. Let me take these pills that are probiotics, which you should take every day, man or woman. Before I tell you all the good news, let me just say this, because this is not, like, recovery is not a joke. Drug addiction, none of that, like, it's not funny. But sometimes it is in life, like, you have to make light of things. So, I'm going to show you this real quick. So, when you go to rehab, one of the things that they'll commonly ask is, like, what was your DOC, which is, like, your drug of choice. I don't know why. I don't necessarily, again, it's not something that I really believe in, because I feel like it kind of, like, puts a stigma. It's like, but whatever. It's either way. I'm not, I don't run rehabs because I'm a drug addict. So what do I know? But anyway, so when people would ask me what my drug of choice was, I would say anthrax and glitter. And that was like what I always said. I don't know why. I've just always said that. Oh my God, where was I going with that story? I was really, I know what it was. So I was thinking about, like, I'm taking my probiotic, like I'm so healthy now, like I'm in recovery, like I'm like, taking my vitamins and everything. But, 2 months ago, I was pumping toxins into my body. But anyway, so like when I was in rehab, and a lot of the people there were like really young. I mean, like a lot younger than me. So when I would say anthrax and glitter, they would be like, what's that? And I'm like, you don't know what anthrax is? And I just thought it was so funny. But this was like the other, like, people that were old enough to like remember like what anthrax was. This was like the number one response I would get. People would go, that's poison, right? I'm like, do you know how they make meth? Like, how is that, like, you're saying it like, oh my God, like, why would you joke about taking anthrax? Like, that's poison. I'm like, drugs are poison, alcohol is poison. Like, it is literally pumping poison and chemicals that you can find like in under your sink, like into your body. I mean, it's not funny at all, but it's the fact that the way our mind works, it's like we can like make things seem like it seems rational, but it's not at all, So, but with that being said, like, just because I was pumping toxins into my body several months ago does not mean that I should not really put that same energy into, really, I owe it to my body. I owe it to my body to try to at least compensate for the lack of, it's not like I just like, I don't have a lot. I don't have very far to recover as far as like the physical toll that drugs took on my body. For me, it was my mind. And that's most important to me because, that's what life is, everybody, like, something that I've always said, people have always said to me was like, well, that's just in your head. I'm like, well, where else would it be? Like, what is in our mind is what is in the world around us, to destroy your mind is to destroy everything. Hell, you could even be healthy or be unhealthy, and depending on the state of the condition of your mental state, like, you could think that you're healthy and you could be destroying your body, or you could think that your mind is everything. And even like and really what is really everything to me is like my relationship with God. And there is no way to have a healthy, close, healthy relationship with God when your mind is that highly altered by any substance. It's just not possible. And I'm going to say that, like, I don't claim to know everything about God, but I do know everything about drug use. I know enough to know that I question it all the time. And when it comes to your faith, it should not be something that you question. You know, it should not be something that you're like, hey, God, I think we're good. I think you can hear me right now. I don't think the fact that I just, you know, use drugs, I don't think that that's going to cause you to not either not be able to listen to me or not want to. Or even if the perception that I have of you is even real, or if it's based on this construct that I've built because I'm afraid to live in the shame that comes from doing the things that I know I'm not supposed to do. You know, it's like, it's crazy. And to really rationalize that, like to literally be, try to believe that, you know, that God is okay with that. I mean, he's just not. Like, he's not. I mean, he loves us too much to watch us do that to ourselves. Thank you for being a good person and trying to help. I know, and I want to, and I can't help, but I can tell you that, like, their help is out there, and really, no one's gonna. I mean, it's just, guys, like, it really is crazy how much people genuinely do care. Now, granted, when we're not ready for help, it's not going to come across that way. It doesn't. And a lot of times people don't know how to care in the right ways. But like when you genuinely like call out to God or for help, you know, especially if it's directed in the right, you know, if it's like, I mean, if I'm saying help to a fireman and there's no fire, like there's not really much they can do, you know. But if you are even close to the right vicinity of like someone that cares and someone that can help, like they really will, you know. And it's like, it's unbelievable the resources that are out there. And it's unbelievable, like the amount of people that genuinely want us to be okay, you know. I mean, and they just do. And so here's some encouragement though. I mean, I can't help much, but I can say this, y'all. Today I hit the ground running, okay? So I'm like literally, you know, just got into sober living. I just got into sober living like Tuesday night, okay? Tuesday night. Now, granted, like it is a sober living home, so it is very much like facilitated to help recovering addicts, women, you know, get back on their feet and stuff, but at the end of the day, like it is still a business, you know what I mean? We don't live here for free. It's not like, oh yeah, just come and go as you please, or like stay here like as a homeless shelter. Like, no, like, I mean, you have to pay rent here and you have to follow the rules and stuff. So I mean, when you come in, you're kind of already in like a deficit as far as like owing rent and stuff, and they know that you don't have a job and stuff. But anyway, so I say all that to say this, like, you know, I knew today that I had like IOP, which is like the intensive outpatient treatment that's like, you know, 3 days a week. So like, I went to bed early last night. I had transportation set up this morning because it was from 9 to 12. So, I'm just going to tell this whole story because it's so amazing. Okay. So my best friend, Sam, that I talk about all the time, his best friend, Seth, who is also in recovery, I texted him last night and I was like, don't forget about me. Like, I'm trying to connect with women. Like, obviously he's a man, you know, but I'm like, I'm trying to connect with women that, you know, I'm here at the sober living home, but I don't have a vehicle, and I'm like looking for places to get, like, I'm looking for ways, you know, not like being a bum, but really, I mean, like when you're in recovery, you kind of have to humble yourself and be like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, like I'm gonna ask people for rides, you know, because my sobriety depends on it, you know. So anyway, okay. So I texted him last night, like, I mean, it was like, well, it was before I went to bed. So it was like 8 o'clock. Like I was just kind of lining up everything for the next day, and I'm trying to be proactive. So I sent him, shot him a quick text, and I was like, don't forget about me. You know, if you happen to cross paths with any women, you know, just heads up, like I'm in sober living in, you know, where I am. And, it's not the town that I lived in, you know? So I was like, you know, just keep me in mind. He was like, no problem. That was it. So, so today, like, so I get up, you know, I get ready, like, bright and early, you know, like, I make my bed, drink my coffee, get dressed, like, you know, do my chores and everything. And I'm, like, outside waiting for, like, my transportation to get here to, like, go to my first day of, like, IOP and everything. And I get there early, you know, and I'm sitting there and everybody starts coming in and like nobody's really saying anything, you know. I'm like friendly. I'm like, hi, hey everybody, like, hello. As they walk in, I'm like, hello. And so this girl walks in, and and she sits right next to me and she's like, hi. Like, she was just so, like, her personality was just so, like, I loved it. I mean, but she's just very, like, you know, those people that you meet that just, like, make an impression on you, like, immediately. Like, she was just like, hello. And I'm like, hi, you know, like, hello, like, bright morning star, you know? And I'm like, I'm Lindsay. And she's like, you wouldn't happen to be Lindsay from, like, such and such sober living home? And I'm like, I've literally been there like a day, you know? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, Seth texted me or called me last night about you, like, you know, letting me know that, you know, that you were like a friend of a friend, and, you know, you were in this home, and like da 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 da. And I'm like, get out. And she's like, yeah. So she lives right down the road from me. And so like when we leave there, you know, there's a meeting, like literally we get out at 11:45. There's a meeting at 12 o'clock, like right down the road. She has a vehicle, go figure, you know, and lives right down the street from me. So like 3 days a week, I can go get a ride, you know, like I have transportation to get to IOP, like Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, can ride with her to the meeting, the AA meeting at 12 o'clock at the church. And then she can bring me home. And it's also like, you know, a friend, like a female, you know, like, which is what I'm looking for, you know what I mean? Like, but it's like, you know, this is the thing that I'm learning in recovery, is because like there's this period of time where things really are just God creating miracles that you could not even understand or explain, like if you tried to. That's very much what gets us out of the hell that we're in, you know. I mean, you could not ever, you know, chalk that up to coincidence or, you know, oh, look what God's doing. You know, it's like, oh my God, you know, how did I get from here to here, like boom. And it has to be that drastic for us to even like pull ourselves out of that mindset, I think, you know, and this is just my experience. But then, you know, along the way, like in the point that I'm at now, like, you know, just still starting out, but really at a point where like it's really up to me. Like my recovery is going to be as successful as the effort that I put in, and also like putting in the effort, but like trusting God completely and relying on Him in every way. So I feel like this was a situation where it wasn't like look at God, like, or what a coincidence, you know. It very much was, but it's also surrounding myself with people that genuinely want the people around them to be successful, and just the fruits of that labor, and also like God facilitating people in your lives, you know, however you cut it, you know, whichever way you cut it, it's God facilitating change and progress and positive things in your life. But it definitely does require, you know, faith without works is dead. You know, so I mean, I very much believe that if I were to sit at this sober living home where I don't have anybody around here, like no AA meeting is going to fall from the sky and be like, oh, look, we're going to have one in your backyard now. That way you don't have to drive to it. You know, that's just not even feasible, even for God. Now, I mean, He can work miracles, but being alive in this sober living house in itself is a miracle. So at some point it's like, you got to meet Him halfway, you know. And I want to, I want to put the effort in. So anyway, so that happens. So I'm like, that's great. So I go to IOP for 3 hours. I go to the meeting for an hour. I get back here. By the time we got here and like settled in and everything, it was like 2 o'clock. I'd put in an application. So we're in like, so, okay. So anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I like go to the Dollar Tree, and checked on the application. She was like, well, I usually check through them on Monday. So call me on Monday. So I'm like, okay. So I come back here. I got like a few little grocery things, which I was like, you know, this is so new to me because I'm very much grateful for the things that I had, but I'm very much like aware now of like how good I had it and how much of a struggle it really is going to be starting out, you know, like really just, you know, living on a very fixed budget. You know, I mean, it's very possible, but it's not really it's not really what I'm used to. You know, I'm very privileged in that sense, you know, and that's going to hinder me a lot. The fact that I've never really had to care about money, you know, I either didn't have it and did without, or spent it frivolously or had somebody else, you know, controlling it or monitoring it. I've never been self-sufficient in a financial sense, ever. And that scares me, quite honestly. It really does. But that's not the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is I get back here with my few little things that I got from the Dollar Tree, and start a load of clothes, and I get a text from Seven Brew, and they're like I literally applied last night, and the girl's like, would you be interested in an interview? And I'm like, yes, like, oh my God, yes. Like, I've wanted to work there for so long. And what's crazy is, like, in the past, like, I've even put in my application and never heard back. Not just never heard back from them, but like actively was like calling them and going up there, and they were just like, yeah, the owner's not here, like whatever. Now that I would say, I would consider that like, look at what God's doing, you know, because that, I mean, I literally put in the application online last night. Like, I got ready for bed at 8 o'clock. So, I mean, it had to have been probably 6:30 or 7 o'clock when I submitted the application. And I'm going in tomorrow for an interview at 11:45. And I'm like, I have chills right now, because it just, that's how fast things happen, you know, and they don't have to stop happening like that. You know, I mean, it can be something that will happen consistently if I continue to put in the work, you know. And I just feel like maybe you doing these live streams, I mean, it's not just for y'all. It's for me. It's to remind myself, you know, what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I mean, I really want to get to the point one day where I can help somebody else, you know. I've never really helped anybody. Now, granted, I've never really hurt anybody either. I mean, I'm not a destructive person. I'm just not. I could sit here and try to think of times that I'm just like, you know, even in my addiction, like I can try to think of times where I was just like an awful person. I mean, obviously I've made mistakes, but I've definitely not, you know, left behind this trail of tears of, you know, like like destructing everything that comes in my path. But I've never really helped anybody. Because even when I had the means, you know, in the last 4 years, when I've had a home and like some material ways in which to like help people, like I was on drugs, you know. So if anything, I was hindering them. I was enabling them and anybody that would come around, you know. And then I started this YouTube channel, and a lot of it was just talking shit about recovery, you know, going to a rehab across the street for 4 hours and leaving because I was pissed off because they said no talk of God in AA meetings, you know. Well, that may be something to not be okay with, but how much would it help a person that was thinking about going into rehab, you know, that was like, oh, well, if she only lasted 4 hours, then there's no way I'm even try, you know. I mean, that's just irresponsible. That's just, you know, keep up the good work. Well, John, I want that for you too. And I'll tell you literally, I mean, and I don't know if people are aware, like, I don't have the finance, like, I'm not financially able to, like I don't know if there's this misconception that rehab is this thing that, like, people in California do, where they, like, go to these, you know, like, what is it, like, the, I can't think of the name of it, like, the, oh my God, what is it called? You know, where it's just, like, this spa retreat, you know, for, like, $30,000 a day or something. Like, rehab is something that is really in the government's best interest to you know, like, if you were to get, like, government assistance as far as, like, medical, like, insurance, you know, the government is going to be responsible for us to a certain degree anyway. Like, who's going to help homeless people? You know, who's going to, you know, like, who's going to pay for all these things that drug addiction eventually results in? You know, I mean, I'm very, very, and I'm not going to go down that road of talking about politics at all. But I'm very, very proud of our government for becoming what I never thought it would be, and that's a big picture, you know, outlook on things. I mean, I've never seen anything like it in my life, and maybe that's because I didn't want to. Maybe it's because I wanted to think that everything was doom and gloom and, like, F the government and the powers that be, and all the way down to, like, you know, the man my manager, you know, everybody was such a small thinker, and I was just so, you know, ahead of the curve, you know, and maybe I was just full of shit and I wanted to think that everybody was the enemy. But regardless, the fact is, we have a government in America, fortunately, and I mean, I can say in Louisiana for sure, where they know that paying for me to go 3 days a week to an outpatient program that keeps me clean is a lot cheaper than paying for me to go to rehab 7 more times. You know, I take prescription medicine, but I know for a fact that my mental illness is a direct result of my drug use. So in the long run, I'm not taking medicines that I feel like I'm gonna have to be on for the rest of my life, which Medicaid would be paying for. You know, if I can recover from my addiction and get my head on straight, which I will, as long as I stay in recovery, that's gonna save them a lot of money over the course of however many years that I'm, you know, just mentally stable, you know. Yeah, but you spend it on drugs. I'm telling you, you're making a lot of excuses, but all I'm hearing is excuses. If you want to get help, you'll get help, you know. This is good. I was serving my lemonade with a knife. This pink lemonade really is so good. And $30,000 a year is not, well, not to be mean, but like, you probably still would qualify for, like, you know, health care assistance and stuff. I mean, it's easy to get stuck. You know, it's so easy to get stuck and think, well, you know, I'm not making any money if I stay at home and I'm like using drugs, but I'm also not like, it doesn't, you know, it's just like, you're just like a bump on a log. I just didn't want to do that anymore. I just didn't want to be a bump on the log. So anyway, so I have that interview tomorrow. I'm super excited about it. Like, I just think that working at 7 Brew is like, literally, I mean, I can think of things like in the, like, big picture, like in the next 10 years of my life, like, I don't want to be working at a coffee shop, you know, like, I want to be a business owner, like, I want to have my own house and stuff, you know, like, I want to be further in life, but like, for where I'm at right now, it absolutely is like my dream job. You know, I was going to continue, I mean, I still will continue to apply for jobs at other places, but I'm like, I wanted to work at 7 Brew for so long, and I love coffee so much, and they're like, la 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 la, and they like get, and I'll like say something crazy to them, and they like catch it and like fire back, and I'm like, you guys are like me, you know. But that's people that need it more than me. You need it just as much as anybody. John, hello. John, email me at alicebreedlove1 at gmail.com. Alice, ALICE, breedlove, BREEDLOVE, the number 1 at gmail.com. Email me and let's get on top of like finding you some resources and stuff in Illinois, because I'm literally in Louisiana and I don't care. I know nothing about it, but I will tell you that if you want to get help, we can get you help, you know. I like you too. I look different without hair, don't I? Like I kind of feel like it's well, no, I mean, it's not because like if you see like my pictures on my channel, I'm like, I totally have long hair, but I don't. And I love it, y'all. I love it so much. Number one, like, men look me in the eyes and they're like so confused. They're like, I think men think that I'm like mind tricking them when they're looking in my eyes. They're like, how is she? Hey, you can come out here. Yeah, I'm on the sun. Yeah, it's fine. I think think that they're like, I'm mind tricking them because they're like looking me in the eyes, but it's like they have nowhere else to look, you know? Do you speak? I don't speak any other language except English. Do you? Anyway, I think my clothes are done my clothes are done drying, so I'm about to go do that. I want to just encourage you, John, to email me. Let's find you some resources. If anything, like, I know people that know how to get resources in your area, you know. I don't know why you logged onto my channel like all the way from Illinois, but I don't think it was an accident, you know. I want to be able to see my mother, but she hates me. Well, my mother hates me too. I really can sympathize with that. Okay, John, Alice, ALICE, Breedlove, BREEDLOVE, the number 1 at gmail.com. I'm in Brazil. And what country are you from? I always said Louisiana. I am from the country of Louisiana. Sometimes it feels like that. No, but the United States. I was actually getting ready to log off. But guys, if you will subscribe, like this video, share this video. John, email me. Let's get a plan for you to find some resources to, you know, to get on the right track, because there is hope for you, you know. I mean, really, if there's hope, I mean, and it sounds so cliche, and it's like the most overused thing ever, but it really is true. If there's hope for me, there's hope for you. And I'm not a spring chicken. You know, I've been through this thing. I've been using drugs. I did the math the other day. I have been, in my addiction, whether it be, drug use, alcohol, or, you know, or even like, binging, like being an anorexic and bulimic, between those 3 things, between being an alcoholic, a drug addict, and suffering from an eating disorder, for 24 years of my life, I have been under the completely controlled by these addictions and these, you know, illnesses that have literally ran my life. You know, like there's nothing that I've been able to do for 24 years that did not depend entirely on, you know, was I going to be able to get high there? Was I going to be able to get drunk there? Was I going to have to get drunk so that I didn't have to eat there? You know, or like what, you know, I mean, it's like literally, and I mean, I'm to the point now where I'm not ashamed to talk about it. You know, I mean, like, I would not eat for like days, you know? And then when I thought I couldn't hold out anymore, then I would just get shit-faced drunk, you know, to suppress my alcohol, or, you know, or I would, you know, I went from having an eating disorder to using meth, you know, and like, so I was like, well, I didn't have an eating disorder anymore. I just did drugs that made you not eat or sleep. Like, that was my life for 24 years is a really, really long time. That's a really long time to be completely under control by this mental obsession that, I mean, it literally controlled everything I did. I mean, and that's the honest truth, and that's what it was. So, hello, I'm glad you're a new follower. And so, yeah, so watch some of my old stuff. See if you, so you do this for me. Like, go back and look at some of my older stuff, like some of my older live streams and videos, and like see if you can see a difference. I tried lying to myself. I tried going back and looking at a movie and like, I don't look high on meth, you know, like I mean, I am going to keep them up, but it really is going to be for the purpose of like, I want to watch my transformation. Like I want to see it for myself. And I definitely would like to inspire anybody else, you know, I mean, because I guarantee you there's not going to be a single person out there that's going to say, you know what, she was actually holding it down. I think it is possible to do drugs and live a normal life. Like, no. I mean, now granted, I may have quoted the Bible or something. I may have said something that sounded good somewhere in those hours and hours of rants, you know. But all in all, you could look at my physical appearance, my demeanor, just the inconsistency. I mean, some of them I'm just like, I look like I crawled out of a ditch, you know. And I, you know, I was like, I never knew what my purpose was, and now I do. But I think part of it is like having the courage to leave that stuff up there. Cause I want so badly to just rip it all down. I was like, it says I have like 150 something videos. I'm like, 2 of them are not humiliating, you know, like you think your mom hates you, John? Like, I promise you, my mom's like, thank God she changed her name because we don't know her, you know. Just talking with you made me see that I need to be clean. I'm pushing it. Thanks. I don't, if you're serious, John, like, I hope that you're serious. And literally, like, I will give you, I mean, like, you can have my phone number. Like, I'm kind of, like, not being around men so much right now. But, like, you're in Illinois. I don't think that I have to worry about us, like, falling in love and getting married. I'm just kidding. Email me, John. Let's stay clean together. You know, like, let's all, anybody that's either in recovery or considering, you know, taking that path, like, it's not, I promise you, I mean, I don't know everything and I haven't been everywhere, but I don't know that I know for a fact I've never met a person that was in recovery that was off drugs and alcohol or gambling or sex or anything else that was literally controlling their life. Not one person has said, yeah, I wish I wouldn't have done that. You know, that was like, worst mistake I ever made was getting clean. Like, I'm just waiting for something to happen so I can just like flush that down the toilet, you know? Thank you for saying that. And I mean, also like share this with anybody else that, you know, may, all I have is my life and my story to really encourage anybody, but I feel like it's a big one. Because I've been from, you know, I know my worth and I know how little, I've invested in that. I know how little I've invested in my worth in the last 8 years. And it makes me sad for myself. I don't feel sorry for myself. Don't get me wrong. I don't feel sorry for myself. But it makes me really sad. And I want to apologize to myself every day for wasting some of the best years of my life, you know? And that's what it was a waste. I want you to, John. And again, I know this sounds very cliche, but I really, truly am going to pray for you. And I really, truly hope that you'll reach out to me in my email, and then I will contact you in any way. As far as my schedule, it's kind of open right now, so I'll try to get on. Like tomorrow I'm going to be on at 10 o'clock. And then every other day I'm trying to do like, you know, in the afternoons at this time. But I want somebody to feel better than how I felt. If there's somebody out there that felt as bad as I did, like I want them to feel better, you know? So, anyway, well, with that being said, I feel like this is a good point to end it on. I definitely am going to log in tomorrow, at like 3 or 4 like I did today. And like, you know, hopefully have good news about like the job thing. 7 Brew, I think is like my, I think that's my calling. Also, I don't have to worry about, I mean, I do drink coffee, but at the same time, I don't think I'll have to worry about working at a place where I'm going to spend my whole paycheck, because like I said, I am struggling with the financial aspect of things. I'm not responsible when it comes to spending. So I think that'll help me kind of like save my paychecks. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, John, hit me up on email if you want. Everybody else, I would love for you to share this, like this, subscribe. You know, I used to not ask that. I used to not, you know, ever mention anything about that, because I was just doing it just to do it. But now I really think that, you know, I would appreciate any type of support on my channel that you offer. You know, I would really appreciate that, and hopefully someone else will appreciate it, that it helps. So, okay, well, I love you guys, and I'm gonna log out, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.